There is a growing assumption in our modern age that humanity's greatest threats are always external: climate, technology, conflict, or scarcity. Yet beneath the surface of our own skin lies a world so vast, so intricate, and so overlooked that it may quietly determine the future of human survival. It is not found in satellites or laboratories alone, but in the unseen ecosystem within us, the gut. When we speak of the 10,000 sample race, we are referring to the emerging scientific effort to map and understand the human microbiome across tens of thousands of individuals. This is not merely data collection. It is an attempt to decode one of the most complex systems ever discovered: trillions of microorganisms living in harmony or sometimes in rebellion within the human digestive system. What is astonishing is not just their existence, but their influence. They affect immunity, metabolism, mental health, inflammation, and even susceptibility to chronic disease. But let us think more deeply. Man has always believed that life is governed primarily by what he can see and control. Yet here we are confronted with a truth that humbles human pride. Much of what determines our health is invisible, microscopic, and profoundly interdependent. The gut is not simply a digestive organ. It is a governing system, a chemical command center that communicates with the brain, regulates hormones, and shapes resilience against disease. If this is true on an individual level, then the implications for humanity are staggering. Imagine a world where autoimmune diseases are reversed, not merely by suppressing symptoms, but by restoring microbial balance. Imagine mental health conditions being addressed not only through external intervention, but through the restoration of internal ecological order. Imagine antibiotic resistance being countered not by escalation alone, but by understanding the microbial ecosystems we have long ignored. Yet the 10,000 sample race is not just about innovation. It is about recognition. Recognition that human beings are not isolated machines, but ecosystems within ecosystems. We are fearfully and intricately made, sustained not only by what we consume, but by what lives within us. And if that internal world is disrupted, the consequences ripple outward into every dimension of life. There is a sobering reality here. Modern life, with its processed foods, environmental stressors, and overuse of antibiotics, has often disrupted what once existed in balance. We have gained convenience but sometimes lost complexity. We have extended lifespans in some areas while weakening resilience in others. And so the study of the gut is not merely scientific curiosity, it is in many ways a recovery project. But let us not misunderstand the deeper point. The answer is not found in worshiping science or fearing it, but in recognizing truth wherever it is revealed. The body itself testifies to order, design, and interdependence. The more deeply we study it, the more we are confronted with the reality that life is not random chaos, but structured wisdom embedded at every level. The gut, in its quiet function, teaches a profound lesson. Survival depends on harmony, not dominance, not isolation, but harmony. When microbial communities are balanced, life flourishes. When they are disrupted, decline begins subtly, sometimes long before symptoms appear. So when we consider whether the gut might save humanity, we must interpret this carefully. It is not a mystical claim, nor a simplistic cure-all. Rather, it is a reminder that some of humanity's greatest breakthroughs may come not from conquering nature, but from understanding it. Healing may arise not only from invention, but from restoration. And perhaps the most important truth is this: what is true in the body often reflects what is true in life itself. Disorder within leads to disorder without. Neglect of foundational systems leads to collapse in visible structures. And attention to what is small and hidden often determines what is large and enduring. The 10,000 sample race is therefore not just a scientific milestone. It is a mirror held up to humanity, asking whether we will finally pay attention to what has always been sustaining us quietly, faithfully, and without recognition. In the end, the question is not only whether your gut might save humanity. The deeper question is whether humanity will learn, at last, to see that survival has always depended on what it chose to ignore. The speech highlights the 10,000 sample race as a global scientific effort to study the human microbiome across large populations, aiming to understand its impact on health and disease. The 10,000 sample race represents more than a scientific project. It is a large-scale attempt to understand one of the most complex and influential systems inside the human body, the gut microbiome. Across thousands of individuals, researchers are collecting and analyzing biological samples to uncover patterns that were previously invisible to science. What makes this effort remarkable is not only its scale, but its purpose: to decode how trillions of microorganisms living inside us shape nearly every aspect of human health. These microorganisms are not passive passengers. They are active participants in digestion, immune defense, hormone regulation, and even brain function. The idea that such tiny forms of life could influence human survival forces us to rethink what it means to be healthy in the first place. For decades, medicine focused primarily on visible symptoms and isolated organs. However, the emerging understanding of the gut microbiome reveals a deeper interconnected system. The gut communicates constantly with the brain through biochemical signals, often referred to as the gut-brain axis. This connection suggests that emotional states, stress levels, and mental health conditions may be influenced not only by external experiences, but also by internal microbial balance. When this balance is disrupted, the consequences can extend far beyond digestion, potentially contributing to inflammation, anxiety, depression, and chronic disease. This shifts the conversation from treating isolated illnesses to understanding systemic harmony within the body. Modern lifestyles have unintentionally disturbed this delicate ecosystem. Diets high in processed foods, excessive use of antibiotics, lack of fiber, and environmental toxins have all contributed to a reduction in microbial diversity. As a result, many people may be living with weakened internal ecosystems without even realizing it. The 10,000 sample race aims to identify these patterns at a population level, offering insight into how different environments, diets, and lifestyles influence gut health. By comparing thousands of samples, scientists hope to discover universal principles that can guide better nutrition, treatment, and prevention strategies in the future. What makes this research especially significant is its potential to reshape medicine itself. Instead of focusing solely on suppressing symptoms, future treatments may aim to restore balance within the microbiome. This could mean personalized diets, targeted probiotics, or microbial therapies designed to rebuild internal ecosystems. In this sense, the gut becomes not just a biological organ, but a key to understanding long-term resilience and disease prevention. Ultimately, this race is not just about data collection, it is about recognition. It is about acknowledging that human beings are ecosystems, deeply connected to the invisible life within them. And in understanding this hidden world, humanity may find new ways to protect its own future. It emphasizes that the gut is not just a digestive organ, but a complex internal ecosystem that influences immunity, metabolism, mental health, and overall bodily function. The deeper significance of the 10,000 sample race lies in how it challenges long-standing assumptions about human biology and health. For much of modern medical history, the human body was treated as a collection of separate systems: heart, lungs, liver, brain, each studied in isolation. Yet the growing science of the gut microbiome reveals a very different reality. The body is not a set of disconnected parts, but an integrated ecosystem where microscopic life plays a central role in maintaining balance. Within the human digestive tract exists a vast and dynamic community of trillions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi, all interacting in ways that directly influence physical and mental well-being. This realization forces a major shift in thinking. Health is no longer defined only by the absence of disease or the correction of visible dysfunction. Instead, it is increasingly understood as the stability of internal ecosystems. When the microbiome is diverse and balanced, the body tends to function with greater resilience. Immunity strengthens, digestion improves, and even neurological processes appear more stable. But when this balance is disturbed, the consequences can be widespread. Conditions such as obesity, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, and even mood-related illnesses are now being linked, in part, to disruptions in gut health. The 10,000 sample race becomes crucial because it allows scientists to move beyond isolated case studies and toward large-scale patterns. By analyzing thousands of microbiome samples from different regions, diets, and lifestyles, researchers can begin to identify how environment shapes internal biology. This includes understanding why certain populations show lower rates of chronic illness, or why specific dietary habits are associated with stronger immunity. It is not about finding a single universal solution, but about recognizing the diversity of human biology and how it adapts to different conditions. At the same time, this research exposes how modern living may have unintentionally weakened internal balance. Highly processed foods, reduced exposure to natural environments, overuse of antibiotics, and chronic stress all contribute to microbial disruption. Over time, these small changes accumulate, leading to what some scientists describe as a loss of microbial diversity. This loss does not always produce immediate symptoms, but it may silently increase vulnerability to disease over years or even decades. What emerges from this understanding is a powerful idea. Healing the human body may require restoring what has been lost, rather than continuously fighting what is broken. Instead of only targeting diseases after they appear, future medicine may focus on rebuilding microbial harmony as a foundation for prevention. This approach could transform nutrition, pharmaceuticals, and even mental health treatment, making care more personalized and ecosystem-based. In the end, the importance of this research extends beyond science alone. It invites a broader reflection on how life sustains itself through balance, cooperation, and unseen interdependence. A central idea is that many modern health problems may stem from disruption of gut microbiome balance due to processed foods, antibiotics, and environmental stressors. The 10,000 sample race is not only a scientific investigation into the gut microbiome, it is also a warning about how modern civilization may be drifting away from biological balance. As researchers gather thousands of samples from diverse human populations, they are uncovering a troubling pattern. The internal ecosystems that support human life are becoming less diverse and more fragile. This decline is not caused by a single factor, but by a combination of modern habits that have gradually reshaped the human environment from the inside out. One of the most significant contributors is diet. Traditional diets, rich in natural fiber, fermented foods, and minimally processed ingredients, once supported a wide variety of gut bacteria. In contrast, modern diets often rely heavily on refined sugars, preservatives, and ultra-processed foods that provide limited nourishment for beneficial microbes. Over time, this reduces microbial diversity, weakening the resilience of the gut ecosystem. When diversity decreases, the system becomes more vulnerable to imbalance, allowing harmful bacteria to dominate more easily. Another major factor is the widespread use of antibiotics. While antibiotics have saved countless lives, their overuse has also disrupted microbial communities, sometimes wiping out both harmful and beneficial bacteria. Recovery is not always complete, and repeated exposure can lead to long-term changes in the microbiome. Environmental stress, pollution, and lack of interaction with natural ecosystems further compound this issue, creating conditions where internal balance is harder to maintain. The significance of the 10,000 sample race lies in its ability to map these changes at a global scale. By comparing microbiome data across different populations, scientists can identify how lifestyle, geography, and culture influence internal health. This helps reveal not only what is being lost, but also what can potentially be restored. Ultimately, the concern is not just about disease, but about resilience. A weakened microbiome may not immediately cause illness, but it can reduce the body's ability to adapt, recover, and defend itself over time. In this sense, the gut becomes a silent indicator of broader human vulnerability. Understanding it is not simply a medical goal, but a step toward preserving long-term human stability in a rapidly changing world. The speech argues that future medical breakthroughs may come from restoring internal microbial harmony rather than only treating external symptoms. The 10,000 sample race opens a pathway toward a very different future in medicine, one where treatment is no longer focused only on visible symptoms, but on restoring the invisible foundations of health. As the data from thousands of gut microbiome samples is analyzed, Researchers are beginning to see patterns that suggest a shift in how diseases should be understood. Instead of viewing conditions like diabetes, obesity, depression, or autoimmune disorders as isolated problems, they are increasingly being recognized as possible outcomes of deeper internal imbalance within the body's microbial ecosystem. This perspective changes the role of medicine entirely. In traditional approaches, the primary goal has been to suppress disease through medication or surgical intervention. However, the emerging microbiome research suggests a more foundational strategy, rebuilding the internal environment so that the body can heal itself. When the gut ecosystem is balanced, it naturally supports immunity, regulates inflammation, and contributes to stable metabolic and neurological function. This means that long-term health may depend less on constant external treatment and more on maintaining internal harmony. One of the most promising directions emerging from this research is personalized medicine. No two human microbiomes are exactly the same. Each person's gut is shaped by their genetics, diet, environment, and lifestyle. The 10,000 sample race allows scientists to map this diversity on a large scale, creating a reference system for what a healthy microbiome can look like under different conditions. In the future, this could lead to highly individualized treatments, where nutrition plans, probiotics, and therapies are tailored to restore each person's unique microbial balance. At the same time, this research also raises a deeper realization about human dependence on unseen systems. The gut microbiome is not separate from us, it is part of us. It influences how we think, feel, and function in ways that are still being uncovered. This means that human health is not purely mechanical but ecological, dependent on cooperation between host and microbes. In this sense, the 10,000 sample race is not just a scientific project but a redefinition of health itself. It suggests that the future of medicine may lie not in fighting the body, but in learning how to support the quiet systems that have been sustaining it all along. It concludes with a philosophical message. Human survival depends on understanding and maintaining balance within hidden biological systems, reflecting a broader truth about harmony and interdependence in life. The final and perhaps most profound insight emerging from the 10,000 sample race is that human survival may depend on humility. Humility in recognizing that life is sustained by systems far smaller and more complex than what the eye can see. The gut microbiome, once dismissed as a minor component of digestion, is now being revealed as a central regulator of health, behavior, and resilience. As scientists continue to analyze thousands of samples, a clearer picture is forming. Human beings are not isolated organisms, but walking ecosystems shaped by continuous interaction with microscopic life. This understanding carries deep implications for the future. If health is fundamentally tied to microbial balance, then preserving and restoring that balance becomes a priority equal to any other form of medical advancement. It also means that many of the challenges facing modern society, rising chronic disease, mental health struggles, and metabolic disorders, may not be fully addressed through conventional methods alone. Instead, they may require a return to biological harmony through lifestyle, diet, and environmental awareness. What makes this research especially powerful is its potential to unify many fields of science. Nutrition, neurology, immunology, and psychiatry all intersect within the study of the gut. The microbiome acts as a bridge, connecting physical health with mental and emotional states. This suggests that the future of medicine will not be divided into strict categories, but will instead operate as a more integrated system, where the body is treated as a whole ecosystem rather than separate parts. At a broader level, the 10,000 sample race also invites reflection on humanity's relationship with nature itself. The same principles that govern balance within the gut also govern balance in the environment. Diversity creates stability. Disruption leads to fragility. Whether inside the human body or in the natural world, systems thrive when their parts work in harmony rather than in isolation. Ultimately, this research is not just about saving lives in a clinical sense. It is about redefining what it means to live well. The gut, in its quiet and constant activity, reminds us that survival is not a matter of control, but of cooperation between cells, organisms, and the invisible networks that sustain them all.